Morning, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Education District 1 virtual coffee, the first one of the 2025-2026 school year. I'm Katie Howard. I'm the District 1 rep. I'm joined by Keith Glass, Crystal Zachin, Dr. Wilson, Carolyn Barnett, Tamesia Miles. I know Travis Norvell's on here, and I think Dan Drake. Lots of great people from the district here to support me. I appreciate all of you carving out the time on what I know is still a busy Friday for you. Um, I do want to get quickly to a brief presentation we have today on Atlanta College and Career Academy. Thanks to Dr. Wilson. She has an appointment at 10:30. And I know folks on this call have busy Friday mornings too, and we have lots of questions and conversation we want to have. But before I get to Dr. Wilson, I just want to go over the purpose of this meeting and give a few quick updates related to the district and Board of Education District 1. I do these meetings to make sure I'm sharing updates with folks, as well as to hear back from the community. I'm out in the community a lot, but I just want to provide every opportunity possible to engage. So appreciate you all making time today. And as far as updates on Board of Education District 1, and that is what this is focused on, this meeting. I know there are people from outside the district. I welcome them. I'm so glad you're here. But I do want to keep the focus more on my Board of Education district. But I want to give some shout outs real quick. We have lots of great things happening. And I have the Jackson Cluster, Carver, and I actually have Midtown High School. It was great seeing everyone represented at the cross country meet the other day, sponsored, of course, APS and Atlanta Track Club. It's a great partnership. King Middle School out there, Howard, ANCS, everyone, Midtown, Jackson, all our other APS schools too. It's just an awesome APS wide event. I'm also excited about the All Abilities Playground that is about to have their ribbon cut for them at Parkside. There's been a tremendous effort there thanks to their foundation that was started really to focus on that, to make sure there's a playground that's accessible to all students at Parkside. Went to an awesome PTA meeting at Benteen the other day. Huge turnout. They're doing tremendous things over there and really focused on the diversity of their school and celebrating and highlighting that. Also going to the district, our board meeting this past Tuesday, we had a really important presentation and conversation in alignment with our strategic plan and focusing on our goals. Part of that is reducing the out-of-school suspension rate. We know that out-of-school suspension overall does not work. And we need to be talking about the realities for our students and what's happening so we can work to address them. We also talked about attendance. While we're seeing a drop in chronically absent students across all levels, there is a tremendous amount of work to do. Really appreciate the administration focusing on these areas, shifting and adjusting, and really getting down to the school level to support students and ensure that they have the high quality instruction and support that really gets them and keeps them in school. And also, what are we going to have to do as a district to make sure we have the supports in connection with community and partners to support our families so their kids are in school. So it was important to hear that conversation, lots of great questions asked. So you can always go back and watch our meetings on our webpage. We have a great YouTube channel that's been around for a minute now, so please check that out. Also think it's important to point out that we have a new $22 million budget gap. We already worked hard, or the administration did, with support of the board, to address the first $100 million one. We have a new $22 million one due to a lower than expected tax digest. What's happening right now and what could be coming for the economy is very real. We have undervalued C1 property, and it's impacting us. We're also spread too thin. That's a quick segue into facilities master planning. Talk about that later. But it's extremely important that we adjust as a system to make sure our students have what they need and that our resources are aligned with that. So stay tuned as we continue to work on that. Appreciate Dr. Johnson, of course, and Dr. Bracken working so hard with their team. Great reductions have been made at CLL, but we can only go so far there without affecting support at schools. And then also we're having to extend our payments on our unfunded pension liability to 2030. We made a vote on Tuesday to support that decision. We are in a good place thanks to the work of prior boards, but the realities are realities financially for us, and we have got to be great stewards always of the property tax dollar, and first and foremost, best educating students with that. So those are my quick updates. I'm going to go on to Dr. Wilson for her overview of Atlanta College and Career Academy, which I always like to make sure I'm pushing out to the community. And she is the one who has the most knowledge. She is the incredible director there, and she's doing even more than that right now. And then we'll have a little bit of time to ask her questions, and then we'll move on to questions from you all. So thank you, Dr. Wilson, and I'll put myself on mute.
All right, thank you, Katie, and good morning, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity to share information about the Atlanta College and Career Academy. I am Tashara Wilson, proud principal and CEO. ACCA is a new innovative program provided by Atlanta Public Schools that supports our mission to graduate all scholars ready for college, career, and life. We offer a variety of career and technical training programs that are all aligned to in-demand careers right here in the Metro Atlanta area. Pathway offerings include both high school pathways as well as dual enrollment opportunities that result in students receiving college credit while in high school. Pathways were selected based on feedback from industry and local workforce needs. We are located in the heart of the historical Pittsburgh neighborhood, which is approximately 1.5 miles away from our primary post-secondary partner, Atlanta Technical College. ACCA serves as a central location or hub, serving all APS traditional, partner, and charter high schools. We offer 2 sessions daily. Half of the schools participate in the morning, and the other half of schools participate in the afternoon.
Hey, Dr. Wilson, I'm so sorry. You're doing a great job. I don't know if you are advancing your slides or not, but we're not seeing it. If you...
Oh, I am advancing my slides.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Right now we see the introduction to ACCA slide.
Okay.
Up on the screen. And then do me a favor. Hold on. Let's. Can you put your screen in the presentation mode?
Yes. Okay. Are you able to see it now?
Yes. Yes. We also see your notes as well, but it's not in like presentation style.
Let's see what's happening here. I apologize to the larger community.
No
If you
worries.
go to slideshow at the top, at the very top.
All right. So I am in the presentation mode. I'm not sure what.
It's probably on your other screen. You may need to slide this over to your other screen.
Oh, I see.
If you have a dual monitor.
I do have a dual monitor, but the other monitor is not on. How about I do it this way? My apologies. How about I do it that way?
That's perfect.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So we do serve as a central location or a hub serving all APS traditional, partner, and charter high schools. We offer 2 sessions daily. Half of the schools participate in the morning, and the other half of the schools participate in the afternoon. Students are provided transportation to and from ACCA, removing any barriers for participation. Something else to note, participation at ACCA does not require students to choose between homeschool activities and career and technical training. The afternoon students are bused back to their home school before dismissal, which allows scholars to participate in all homeschool activities, whether it's playing on the football team, participating in a club, or simply attending after-school tutorials. Participation at ACCA allows scholars to do both. Can you guys see the new slide? Does everyone see ACCA programs at the
Yes,
Michael
ma'am.
Bay campus?
Yep, we got.
Yep.
Yep, we with you.
Awesome. Thank you. So here is a closer look at all of the amazing programs offered on our campus and our current enrollment. Here is our current enrollment by school. And here is a snapshot of pathways students are participating in that are offered on Atlanta Tech's campus. And here are additional career and technical training programs students can participate in on Atlanta Tech's campus. And they receive college credit for participation. We will now transition to highlight some of the amazing partnerships we've established with business, industry, and post-secondary. I'll begin with our post-secondary partner. We partner exclusively with Atlanta Technical College to provide all dual enrollment training opportunities to scholars. We have a variety of partners that we work with to ensure students are ready for the workforce. The first example I'll share is an amazing partnership between ACCA, Atlanta Technical College, and Delta Airlines. We are the first college and career academy in the state of Georgia to partner with a technical college to offer aviation maintenance. Students do receive college credit for participation. What I love the most about this pathway is that students can make well over $100,000 a few years after graduating from high school. Another great ongoing partnership we have is with Hertz. This partnership resulted in students not only receiving the post-secondary automotive credentials from Atlanta Tech for gas-powered engines, but this partnership allows students to also receive credentials to service electric vehicles during their 1 year at ACCA. And as you can see, Hertz donated an electric vehicle and programming to certify our scholars. One of our new partnerships is with Max Air Mechanical. The relationship began last year during an HVAC renovation when their professionals mentored our students in the lab. Since then, Max Air has hired several of our graduates and committed to offering high-quality work-based learning opportunities for our current students. One success story is the young man you see here, Mr. Isaac Sanchez. He's an HVAC pathway completer who earned his universal certification right here at ACCA and is now employed by Max Air. We're also proud of our partnership with Grady Health, one of Atlanta's leading healthcare providers. After discussions with their leadership team, we focused on patient care as the greatest area of opportunity. Today, Grady provides work-based learning for all of our patient care students. They actually send a nurse instructor here twice a week to co-teach alongside ACCA's patient care teacher. The results speak for themselves. More students are now earning the National Patient Care Tech credential. A great example of this partnership is Taylor, pictured here. She passed her EOPA, she earned that certification, she was hired by Grady and is now attending nursing school with Grady covering the cost. The last thing I want to highlight is our unwavering commitment to ensure that scholars leave ACCA with industry-recognized credentials that open doors to in-demand careers right here in the metro Atlanta area. That is very important. We want to ensure that we're preparing scholars for in-demand careers in the metro Atlanta area. This past year, 100% of our HVAC students passed their end of pathway assessment and they earned their HVAC certification. This means that every single one of them graduated ready to step directly into a high-demand, high-wage career. One powerful example is this young man, Jahiri Pierce, a May 2025 graduate and HVAC pathway completer. Jahiri earned his certification right here at ACCA and wasted no time putting it to work. On the very first day of school this year, he returned, not as a student, guys, but as a proud HVAC professional, ready to inspire the next group of students following in his footsteps. That is the epitome of our work. We're so proud of the work that we do, ensuring that scholars are graduating, enrolled, enlisted, or employed with opportunities waiting for them the moment they graduate. And my final slide, we want to invite all of you, if you would like to learn more about ACCA, we are having a recruitment event on Thursday, October 23rd from 4 until 6 p.m. All students, parents, and community members are welcome. We'll have all of our teachers here. We'll have our industry partners here, and this will give you an opportunity to dig deeper if you are interested in learning more about any of the pathways that we offer. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. That was excellent. I serve as the representative for the board on the ACCA board, on the GO team. So I get to hear this information firsthand monthly, but I want to make sure even more people are finding out. Obviously, they're growing. Students know, pushing out the information to counselors. So students know what their options are before they get to their sophomore year when they're making these decisions. And there's so many kids going directly to college, directly to career, as Dr. Wilson said. It's a huge opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to how it expands into surrounding schools, like maybe Carver one day, because we know bring these opportunities directly to students while also having the base at ACCA and the relationship with ATC, as well as Grady, Delta, all these employers is so critically important, especially as we make sure our kids are prepared for now and future jobs. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Wilson? And I see a great comment from Cameron. Thank you so much for that offer. I don't know if you see that, Dr. Wilson, but I wrote down Cameron's email, an offer. That'd be great with West Georgia. Yes. Thank you, Tolton. Hi, Tolton. I'm glad you're here. I'm sorry, I haven't caught up colleagues. I know Kim was going to join. Tolton, I don't know who else is here, but thank y'all for being here. I'll look to see it with attendees, but really appreciate all the work you do, Dr. Wilson, and thank you for sharing today. And I will continue to push it out. But yeah, make sure to go on the tour on the 23rd. There's tons of ways to find out more about ACCA. So, and there are tons of Board of Education District 1 kids there. Every time I go, there's kids from Midtown, Jackson, Carver. It's great to see them all together. It's a really cool community. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Have a great day. Good luck with Achieve Atlanta. Yay. So I see Cameron, thank you again for your willingness to work with us and help spread the word. So with that, I will open up the floor to questions from folks. I know we have a fair amount of people on. Appreciate you all joining, and I will have Keith help me identify who has a question. If you could just raise your virtual hand or your actual hand, we can see you. And I do ask that, depends on how many questions we have, but that you get to your question as quickly as you can so we can hear from as many people as possible. No questions? This would be amazing. I'm not amazing. I want questions. All right. Well, I will, with that pause, since I know facilities master planning is at the top of everyone's mind right now, a lot going on. I was rushing through my updates and I did not highlight the upcoming meetings that are happening next week that are larger in nature, that are regionally focused. Actually, there's one next week and there was one last night, and another has happened. There are also virtual meetings next week. I believe ours is September the 8th. And that one will be focused more on South Atlanta and Carver and Maynard Jackson. And then, as I've been pointing out to folks, once the list comes out in mid-October with the schools that will be impacted, there will be additional meetings for those school communities. And I brought that up with the Dunbar community, with the BAMO community. I've gone to the Dunbar meeting, which Dunbar is not actually my Board of Education district, but I care greatly about them, and they're right next door, and they feed into King and Jackson. And then I will be at BAMO next week to talk with them. Just making sure I am going directly to folks to get their feedback and hear from them. Thank you, Dan, for dropping the link to the webpage. I hope everybody is checking that out on the regular. See, Elizabeth has a question. Great. Just want to make sure everyone is informed and has the information and shares it. And please, please, please take the survey. Elizabeth, I promise I'm gonna get to your question. I just don't want to forget to mention that I put my contact information in the chat. I can drop it again, but I also have a link to my newsletter, and I share this information broken down specifically in my newsletter as well, including a link to the survey. Keith, I know you're in charge of questions, so I'll let you.
Yeah. So we'll take Elizabeth and then move over to Lisa.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm gonna see if I can come on camera. There I am. There you are. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, so my question is about the facilities master plan. I know that there has been information out about adding 300 seats to Midtown High School. They're calling it an addition, but it's like rearranging the space within the existing facility. And then the part two of that plan, there's been mention of developing kind of a new zoning model where you're pairing Midtown High School with Washington High School, and giving parents the choice or students the choice, depending on like their pathway, their area of interest, to go to one school or the other. And so I just have questions about, like the logistics of that, and, the extent to which the board has been able to really hammer out the details around what that means for transportation, or, siblings who choose different areas of interest and different pathways, and, what that means in terms of AP offerings within the existing schools. So if you could speak to what that zoning model is more specifically, and then any of the details you all have hammered out, that would be great.
Yeah, appreciate the question. I'm definitely going to defer to some folks on this call, but what I can tell you initially, very early in just the ideation of those, what that could look like. And for me as a board member, the questions I'm asking is what we're doing to further develop all our high schools.
Yeah.
Because that's needed, period. And there are great things happening at all of them, but it's yes, an issue of numbers, but it's also what is the programming. And the program for Washington, some great things happening. They had growth in their AP classes, but yeah, they need more, and they're a smaller school right now. Carver needs to be one school. We need a plan for that. How do we connect? Like I've said, ACCA. How do we grow an arts program in the district? It needs to be, in my Board of Education representative opinion, in one of our existing buildings. We have the facilities, we have the room, but we need to come up with a plan with the long-term sustainable support. We can't just drop something in and be like, hope that works. We've got to really have the plan to support it. And right now we're stretched so thin trying to do all these things everywhere that we're not able to build out anything else. And we're having a hard time maintaining the strong programming that's happening depending upon the size of the school too. You see at Midtown, you and I went to Ben Grady when it was itty bitty, and seeing it grow, you've really seen all this programming max out. I mean, it's awesome the amount of APs Midtown has, but it's really because of the size too. So what is the plan for Washington? for the students there. And then, yes, if we were to have something that works between Midtown and Washington, people need to know what they're going to, what their options are, and it needs to be managed because we can't drive everyone across the city either, to your point about logistics. Same between Washington and, Carver and Jackson. We can't squeeze everything to Jackson programming wise. What could happen at Carver, and logistically, they're close in proximity. So we're early in the process. These are all just options for the very, reason of getting feedback from the community. Like, what do you want to see more of? Because we know that under capacity, that affects students' experience, as is, yes, overcapacity, but also it doesn't help us focus where we need to extend programming other places. So we're early in the process. I don't know if Dan, Travis, y'all want to contribute anything. I mean, this is the consultants putting out these proposals. Anybody or not, but share that in the survey for sure, Elizabeth. Like, that is feedback that needs to be shared. And then how would that work? And then what do you want to see? I really want people to share what they want to see. I've tried to bring together a group of folks in the Carver cluster from Perkinson and Finch and Carver. They're getting together. I'm like, what do you want to see? This is your opportunity as we plan for the future.
Yeah, for Midtown, I think one of the main concerns or questions is like, does this really solve the overcrowding issue that we're already having? Because it's already overcrowded, right? So if you add 300 seats, potentially taking away, communal common spaces, right? It's still overcrowded because it's the same building. And then in 3 to 5 years, when you do the zoning model, if it's an option, like, how do you make the decision if nobody leaves? Like, what happens? So I don't know what the plan is there. If it's like a parent choice, I don't foresee a lot of parents choosing to leave Midtown. So then what does APS do? Have you all thought about what happens then?
Dan, anybody? Well, I would say we're early in the process, but
Yeah.
you certainly can't move a line unless people know what they're going to too. And you
Yeah,
gotta,
and I'd say, yeah, thank you, Board Member Howard. I'd just say, this is a concept that that HPM has brought up, and I think the meeting on the 10th that we're having at Midtown High School, this was a great, I would urge folks to come to that meeting, ask these questions, bring those questions to Let's Talk. We can get those answered by Tracy Richter and his team to get those details to you. So again, if you can attend the meeting, and if you can't,
Yeah, I'll be there.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you for the question, Elizabeth. I mean, these are the questions that need to be asked. Like, we need to continue, like, push the consultants, push the district. But know that we're definitely thinking, like, how do we have these strong options? Every school should be a choice school. And it is for many students. Like, they have great pride in their school and attachment to it. But we're not, as a district, able to sell everything out because we don't have the long-term plan for all this programming and to make it more robust too, so people know those options. But logistically, those are great questions too. How would that actually happen? Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Our next speaker will be Lisa, followed by Stacy. Good morning, Lisa. Oh, wait,
Hi, Lisa.
where did she go? Lost her.
Uh-oh. Was it you?
Oh, there she is. Okay. You took your hand down and you just went back into the crowd.
Sorry. And I also tried to. Okay. I've been reading through the documents, and I know we've been told to put our questions into Let's Talk. I have many after reading through the state of the schools or the school report. But I just thought, since we're here, I would, and you might not be able to answer this, but when I was reading through the state of the schools, specifically on the school size section, page 20, it talks about high schools, and the wording in there I find very vague and not entirely sure what it means. Under high schools, it says the goal is to balance program offerings across all high schools. Understand that. This can be achieved by either balancing enrollment, which challenged by the cluster system, or, and this is the part I find confusing, co-locating program offerings into boundary high schools. Are you able to explain a little bit about what that means? Because I can't even, the words in the system of what APS looks like just don't fit in my understanding of our schools. So I just was hoping to at least get one question asked or answered maybe about what that means as people are reading through some of this information.
Yeah, great question. And I do think that's one the consultants need to address because they put that forth, and that's a good one for next week at that meeting and in advance. I mean, put it into Let's Talk, please do. And so they can start to address it in advance of the meeting. But again, just from my standpoint and having been a product of APS too and seeing things, I don't think we need to go back to that model we had in the past. But how do you manage choice? Because people are taking advantage of choice, and they should have that option without, undermining or creating additional inequities in the system. So you've got to have a really tight plan. People know exactly what the offerings are and have a way to manage it and balance it. But yes, I would ask them for examples where they've seen that done in other districts and systems successfully. And that's certainly, obviously what I'm asking. But I'm glad you bring that to the forefront, Lisa, because that's the direction we should be going, is how, if we talk about innovation, what does that look like and how do we support it with a focus on students? Because we are going to get to a point where there's nowhere else to go at Midtown or Jackson, and they're not the only great schools. There's so many, obviously, great students and great schools throughout the system. They just don't have the same programmatic support long-term, and the numbers piece, that is a challenge, but there's definitely ways to address it, certainly from the programmatic standpoint. So thank you for lifting that. I don't know, Dan, anybody want to contribute anything else? Just another one to definitely share next week. But I made note of it too, Lisa, that is something that people want to hear more about. Did that help for now? She may be on mute. Sorry. You can't come off, can you?
I can now. Yes, Yay. Yes. It's mostly I just want to, and I will say, just as a follow up, and then I'll stop. I've attended the virtual meeting. I was able to attend one of the in-person meetings, and there does seem to be a great deal of, we'll answer that in a future meeting. And I really think we're getting to the point where we'd like that to be answered in meetings soon, because the promise of hearing it at the next meeting is getting a little tiring. And I say that with, please just let's make this process as beneficial for everybody as possible, please.
Agree 100%. And I think that is what the meeting at Midtown should be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. We'll hear now from Stacy. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning.
Stacy.
Hi. So I know you said you wanted to have the questions focused on your district, and I think this question is really just focused on your cluster, but I think this is
it's okay. You don't have to just focus questions. I just want to make sure people knew that.
Okay, but this is really for all of the clusters. It's back to the zone model. And I'm trying to follow the conversation, and I don't know if I'm really understanding what the zone model is. As you know, I'm on the task force. There were several independent task force meetings with the different clusters, and so maybe that was discussed in another one, but I don't really remember hearing any details or hearing this zone model fleshed out. And I keep hearing about it, and it seems like some people are privy to information that others aren't. But if you can drill it down to a first grade level and maybe somebody explain to me, either you or Dan, what this concept of the zone model is and the different schools and people being able to choose, where that came from and what it is specifically.
So I can't tell you exactly why the consultants put it on there and like what they're drawing from. That's a great question for them. I mean, they're the experts in this area working with different districts across the country. So they need to share what they've seen with the zone model. I know there's just been conversation in general with, I mean, just I brought it up even looking at, proximity, Washington, Midtown, Carver, Jackson, how are we balancing the programming between those two schools in vicinity? But that is certainly just people looking at the lay of the land saying, there's an imbalance here and how can we potentially work together? But certainly no details have ever been formulated at the district level. I think this is all, conversation feedback level. But the consultants are bringing forth things they think could work. So they need to provide more details and examples of those things. To your point, like what is an actual zone model? How does that work? How many kids would you move back and forth? How would you move them? You've now seen APS for long enough. I mean, they're not completely in the weeds and know every bus route, but why do you think that would work here? And how long-term could you plan for that? And how could you make sure there isn't, unintended consequences with that? I'm a product of the magnet system in APS. Things work really well when there's strong programming and there weren't all these fluctuations in populations. We were a bigger district in other areas. Grady was the smallest, really, of all those schools. Things happened that were beyond people's control, and people were displaced in the city, and all the history. And then there became great imbalance in that magnet program. And also, we had a hard time tracking students through their entire trajectory. So we can't go back to that. But how do we pull upon some of the strengths where people did pick schools based on their programming and there was great student outcomes from it? So that's my experience and understanding of some of that. But those are great questions for the consultants they need to answer. And I think Dan's going to push you back to the meeting next week. But have you put that into Let's Talk, Stacy? I mean, I'm making note and I'll share it with the superintendent, but I encourage everyone.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. No, because I literally just heard about it last week. And that's why I was surprised because I didn't even really know that this was something like a viable option. I knew that schools were kind of being put in zones for these, regional meetings, but I guess I missed this part of kids, students moving back and forth, and maybe it's based on programming. Maybe it's not this concept of the zone model being how students are in school. I thought it was just schools being grouped together for the purpose of these regional meetings. So that's why I haven't put it in Let's Talk, because I feel like I honestly just don't know enough about it. And if it's something that we're actually kind of considering and fleshing out, but it sounds like it is. So I will.
It's very, very early on. I mean, they're putting it out there to get feedback. This is not, based on my understanding, so far part of this initial phase. Yep. There's nothing concrete. No.
And I'll say this, the zone model was something that was discussed with the task force at some particular time. It is not on the, when the presentation was released on the 18th, it was not in the zone. The zone model was not included, but I will make sure that the consultants are ready to discuss that for the meetings next week. And I appreciate the heads up on that. So that's a very good takeaway for me. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Stacy, and everyone who's brought it up. Great questions.
Yep. Thank you, Stacy. So we'll take Dion and then we'll go to Ms. Lang. Good morning, Dion.
Morning, Dion.
Morning. I guess I'm a little bit confused here on many levels. So I went to all task force meetings. The first one, it was for everyone. The second one, we were split up into subcommittees by clusters. There were 3 of them. I attended the second and the third. The third one was an all group meeting. The second task force meeting, which was split up into subcommittees, we had a presentation, which I dropped. And on slide 6 was the first mention of these zones. Since that time, and starting at that meeting, myself and others have asked for clarification on this since August 5th at that meeting. Some individuals did not attend that meeting, but we have been asking. Almost every community meeting since that's been recorded in regional meeting, we have asked about it and have gotten little information and told the task force came up with this. I have asked too, because I have, again, been every meeting except that first one. it seems like, Dan, some other people who are on here as well, that we have been actively asking about this for quite some time, over a month now. As I said in one of the meetings, everyone across the city deserves some answers on this. It sounds like what it is that people will choose within their zone where to go, and transportation will be provided. But as many of us know, it takes 45 minutes plus to get to one end of our cluster to the other, just because of traffic, not necessarily because of distance. It takes 45 minutes for my kids to get to and from Howard if the bus stops. Yesterday, it flew past them. So with all of that said, we've also, you read between the lines, been told that programming will be taken out of schools and put in other schools. HPM has been clear that magnet schools don't work. They didn't work in the past. The cluster model does work. Sounds like repackaging of admin transfers. You guys have clearly said that to have programming in schools, you need students and seats. That's how you generate money. To then purchase programs, staff to run programs, to have more programs. So with all of that said, this process has been highly frustrating for those who have been able to show up, which I know is nearly impossible. I think Lisa said it in a more eloquent way. You just need to answer the questions clearly. But the pointing the finger game is not helping anything. It's really unfortunate that it's come to this yet again. And I've been a part of this for over a decade. So with that said, I asked this question about this zone model on Ken's community chat, and he said the following Monday I'd got answers. And that's why I went to that community meeting and I didn't get answers. So I hope, Katie, now you will go back to APS central office and ask them what the zone model really is. And I would also like to ask if last night they presented a new presentation to the dual campus. The parents, unfortunately, and community members that were there did not have a chance to see that presentation prior to coming to the meeting. But all of the other meetings, the scenarios and presentation was available 3 days plus advance. So my formal request is, would you please make the presentation that's going to be provided to the overcrowded schools by Monday, so that everyone can, kind of digest the information and not get it there and have to digest it and ask questions. So I hope, and I'm asking you if you can do that for us, please.
No, I appreciate everything you just shared. I will definitely share this and Dan Drake's on the call too. Thank you, Dan. He'll be sharing it too. Yeah, these are great questions, and I want everyone to get a response from the consultants about it. And next week seems like the best time for them to have that holistic conversation with folks. It sounds to me also like they're starting to adjust based on feedback. I was not at the meeting last night, so I'm hearing, about what was shared now, and I'll go back and listen. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next week and hearing what they share, and absolutely will be asking these questions to the administration of the consultants. So thank you for lifting all that up, Dion. And I think bringing up reality logistically too is important.
Could you please commit to trying to get the presentation that's going to be shown on Wednesday night to the community? And Dan, I'm asking you this as well, by Monday night, so that people can look at it Monday night and Tuesday before they go to the meeting on Wednesday.
I will absolutely ask the question, Dion. Yes.
And I will commit to passing on that request. Absolutely.
Okay. And if it can be sooner, please. I will say that immediately when slide 2 was presented and I saw that it was a different presentation last night, I put in an email and asked for it to be uploaded to the website as soon as possible. I did get a response back from HPM that it has been added. So if anybody's on here that needs that, it has been added to the website. We continue to hear feedback across the city that the communication has not been great. And And so as transparent as possible as you can be in it, if you can get that up even faster, I know everyone would greatly appreciate it so they can come in having processed the data.
Thank you, Dion. And I see Dan put in the updated presentation from last night in the chat. And people can ask questions about anything throughout the district. I just wanted to preference at the beginning of the meeting that I did want to make sure District 1 folks were given priority. That was my point there, Stacy. Just clarifying. For any other questions today, please ask away. And if I don't have the answer, I will send it to the right person. Thank you, Dion.
Yep, thank you, Dion. We're going to Miss Lane, followed by Waukesha. Hey, Waukesha. And then to Liz.
Perfect. Hi, Mandy.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. Okay. So my main question, as usual, is like where special ed fits in all this. One thing I do want also everybody to understand is the voluntarily using administrative transfers, hardship transfer, school choice spots never work the same for special ed. We have typically been denied spots even when it's like just add a para to this place. A paraprofessional is not tied to a brick of concrete. They can go everywhere. So special ed has typically denied us spots where we've wanted to go. So I've still been not getting a lot of detail from the Department of Special Ed, from the consultants on how we will be opening up those spots strategically. Because right now in District 1, your zone, when you go 6 through 12, if you need high-level supports, is not stay in Jackson cluster, is being shoved into Midtown, which is not an overcrowding solution. And some of us have been actually trying to go to undercrowded, under-enrolled clusters for ages for the upper grades and have been denied. So I'm trying to figure out at what stage we can get some more concrete planning on that. I do know that October is when they look at school closures and where they're going to move classrooms, but it doesn't really answer the question of like when and how many we add spots for these lower level supports at all of these under-enrolled schools.
Yeah, no, thank you for lifting that up. You know, I've had many conversations about this. Thank you for sharing it with the superintendent. I have too. I think you highlight one of the main reasons we've got to look at this in chunks intentionally, especially for K through 12. Like this first phase is obviously focused on elementary, but we've got to free up resources so we can invest more into areas such as this and plan. Because right now it isn't working in the best way for students or families. I will take back that question, continue to lift it. That definitely needs to be addressed by Dr. Johnson and team, and then with the consultants. But that's I think largely also something, you know, the district has got to figure out now to do better and then plan long range, especially as we build out and look next phase, you know, middle to high, what's happening there, because there's so much opportunity, but we've got to get the right people in the right place to support that. And then the frustration you and others experience, like looking at Sylvan, which had resources in the space and support, but you couldn't go there because they can't support administrative transfers long term because of their size. Like that's how this imbalance doesn't serve people well. So I'm definitely taking that issue back to the superintendent over and over again. So please continue to lift it to folks, but I can't give you a specific answer from the consultant standpoint, but I can lift it too. Oop, you're on mute.
Sorry, the Sylvan example is also really good too, because this is a place where they wanted to invite special ed parents in. They wanted to give them tours. They wanted to engage them and show how they could integrate them in least restrictive environment throughout the whole school. And so they weren't given those supports there, whereas Howard did not want to and refused, and they had to legally help me and they didn't. So this is a particularly thorny one. They really have to put the services also where they have people trained.
Agree 100%. Goes back to that high quality instruction and support. No, thank you for continuing to lift it up and push, and I promise you it's top of mind for me too. So thank you for lifting up here.
All right. Thank you.
And I know we have a hard stop at 11, but
Yeah.
we have no time for questions still. I just want to.
Yeah, I think we have 3 more. We got Waukesha, Liz, and then we'll go to Aisha. And then I know we didn't highlight, but we do have board member Dr. Zeff on the call as well. So good morning, Dr. Zeff.
Thanks for joining, Ken. And Tolton, I definitely want to make sure I recognize you again. Anybody else on? I appreciate my colleagues.
We have our country soup on the call as well.
Oh, great. Ms. Stefianis, great. Awesome. Thank you for being here. All right. Next question.
Hey, hello.
Hey, Keisha.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm well. Hey Keith. I think you want me a phone call. Hey Ken. Hey everybody. Quick question. Overall, I just want to know, why are we talking about? And I'm part of the committee. I went to maybe one of the meetings because I don't like to waste my time anymore. So, I kind of see what was going on. One of the questions I asked was, we were told, at least some of the same people on this call, at least a year and some change ago, that they were talking about the overcrowded schools and trying to not necessarily move the lines, but just trying to make some adjustment to help relieve those schools, which could help the schools that are under enrolled. But it seems we have shifted to the small schools and we want to focus on closing them when we already got a lot of property sitting around Atlanta that's, having been used, etc. And APS could have did something about that before y'all time, so I won't blame you, but I will put some fire up under your feet. The small schools are now making gains. They're making good gains, allegedly. I'm just saying, they're making some gains. How would that help our children to close the schools or merge them? We know how that go as well. Just how could that improve the kids' community when we know that the community that they have, they are growing within, they are making improvements according to you guys in the state. And why are we focused on those? And I get it, it's about money, but I would beg to differ. Let's go look for some money somewhere else downtown, just saying, versus closing these schools who have a community, who have made some gains. We've seen what happened when schools close in community and how the community shifts and change. We've seen that. So I would challenge APS to be a little bit more creative. I know maybe all the schools can't stay open, but maybe since these schools are, coming off the list and doing well, let's go back over here to where we are, Midtown, Jackson, North Atlanta, and let's try to relieve. I know it's a touchy subject, but let's try to relieve some of those schools in those classrooms and shift. A lot of the kids that can go to school closer, why not? Hey, why not? I'll call it for what it is. Why not rezone? Why not move those lines? At what we were told, because I asked the question, oh, that's not going to happen. But it was so easy for them to say, oh, we're just going to close these small schools. But these small schools are making great gains. And I can't see how that would help these kids for them to be shifted and moved. And it's new teacher, new staff, new administration. And let me just say this too. A lot of time it's not our babies. It's the people we put in front of them. And I think we have to be a little bit more strategic with that. But how can this even be a conversation when these babies and their school communities are making gains? And let's get back to the real nitty gritty of relieving these schools who have been overcrowded. Because I know some people on the call want to say it and they can't say it, but let's just do that. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we can have enough bodies in these other schools. But we got a lot of properties that's sitting around and they're not being used. Why would we add on to that? Eileen.
No, I appreciate all of that, Waukesha. And I know I want to get to Liz's question. So, I could talk all day about this. And you're always right in talking about the importance of school and connection to community. And we have to be so sensitive to that in this process and making sure we're understanding the realities for all our students in those schools and their connection to the community and doing this the right way, because we have not done it the right way in the past, 100%. We've also seen some tremendous gains, like Parkside was the merger of 3 schools into, in that case, a new building. And we've seen how that has grown over time. Cohen and DeKing, it's grown over time, is actually contributed largely to the growth of the Jackson cluster. But you have to do it the right way. You have to add to those schools and programming and resources and opportunities. And you're 100% right, of course, about adults. It's the children, they're good. They're doing what they should, and we need to support them in growing and learning. But we've got to make sure we have the right adults and the right high quality instruction in front of them, and then an experience that really broadens their outlook and their opportunity. And that is something we are not able to provide right now with the current system and structure. We are spread way too thin. The gap's only going to get worse if we don't do something about it. There is no more money to take from central office. Dr. Johnson has cut it dramatically, multiple millions. And the problem too is if you cut it too far back, then you don't have enough people to support all these schools we have. Like, we've got to have balance that's focused on what's best for students. So I will be supporting a change, but the right change. But I'm not going to also kick the can down the road and not address the issue, because students are being cheated because of it, as in they're not having all the opportunities they deserve and the support they deserve and that high quality instruction. And we've got to address the overcrowding issue too. Or overcapacity. It's a balance, but it's got to be chunked into phases. It's got to be done right with intentionality, and we cannot create a whole lot of vacant space that's not utilized. So what does the community need, and how do we work with our partners most strategically? So I'm thankful you're a partner in this work, because you have a lot of critical feedback. Sorry, I'm going to stop there. It's market share. Happy to talk offline too. I want to get to Liz's question, but thank you, Waikisha, and keep saying it all, please.
Yep. And
Liz, is Liz the next one?
Yep. So Liz, the next one, and then we'll go to Aisha, and the time is 10:57. So do want to just make time for those we haven't heard from. And so Dion, if we unfortunately run out of time, you do know how to get in contact with your board members and administration. And so we'll follow with you then. Good morning, Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Hey guys, good morning. I'm not in district, Katie. So if the person behind me is and needs to jump the line, I totally understand that.
You're good. I didn't mean to cut everybody out. I just wanted to know.
No. I'm very sensitive to that. So, but truly, if the people behind me are in your district, I'm more than happy to sign off and can shoot you an email. But just two quick questions. I'm in the North Atlanta cluster. I was there last night. Left very upset, to be perfectly honest. There's been a lot of work and thought that's gone into the community's response. My kids go to Morris Brandon. Waikisha, you made me think of our school. We are growing. We're picking back up from where we were pre-COVID. We pour ourselves into this school, and now we're going to be ripped apart. And there was a board presentation that was pointed out, or I think an APS, maybe it was an APS retreat of some kind from December of last year, that sort of already made this decision that dual campuses were closed. We went last night, and I guess my main question is, you're encouraging your folks to go to the meeting next week. We felt like we went and nobody heard us. Mr. Zeff, I really appreciate you being there, but the consultant, I understand he's there to provide feedback on numbers, but this critical question for our community is, are you open to keeping growing dual campus schools together, or has that decision already been made? I think, and I realize, Katie, you don't speak for everybody. And I just want to say that this idea that you're going to have, that we're going to have these meetings, we go to these meetings, but our representative wasn't there. The district wasn't there. No one was providing any kind of feedback. So it was upsetting and disappointing. And so I guess my main question, maybe not for an answer today, is, has that decision been made and we're stuck with it? And was it made a year ago in secret without community feedback? And secondly, I guess October 6th is the chance that we're allowed to provide feedback to the board. I'm not sure if that makes sense. And you also don't even have to react. I appreciate you letting me jump into this. And the fact that you're having this dialogue is awesome. And I'm so grateful for all that y'all do for APS, because we love being a part of it. So too many parts of my question, but thank you for taking it.
Absolutely. And thankfully you are a part of APS, and we want to keep you happy and with us for sure. And thank you for being here today. The first answer is no decision's been made yet. Y'all's feedback is important. It is being received. I know it's being received by your Board of Education member too. And keep providing it. The consultant's job is to put out things that would work and ways we need to adjust, because I will not, sugarcoat this. We are spread too thin. I am the Budget Commission chair. It is real. We are burning money on empty space, underutilized space. It could otherwise go to program for students. It looks different throughout the district. You all have schools that do have higher numbers, but the dual campus, you have an annex that's very low. I have schools at my Board of Education district that are around 200 kids. Like, we have got to make sure our students have the opportunities we say we want them to have, that we know it's necessary to build them. It is going to be an adjustment for folks. These are hard conversations and we've got to do it the right way. So keep providing the feedback. Decisions not been made, but we are going to have to make a change if we're going to serve our children best. And I'm the product of a lot of shifts in APS, and I will say I did thrive because of it too. I mean, Spark was born out of Morningside, and Morningside was itty bitty when I went. I also went to CW Hill. My kids had half of Cook come into Parkside, which it made Parkside bigger. They were very small then. But I am very committed, as I know my colleagues are, to making sure we do this right and provide the supports necessary. It has got to be done with community. So thank you so much for engaging, for sharing with your neighbors. I don't want people to think that like everything's been decided and it was a long time ago. That is not true. We did tell Dr. Johnson that we want to have the best school system, period, for APS. And this is part of it. School systems are having to restructure across this nation. The worst thing we can do is ignore the problem and get pushed up against a wall and have to make a decision quickly, which would not be good for students. This is a 2-year ramp with feedback. So keep providing the feedback. I completely hear you. This is hard and you guys don't want to change. I'm thrilled. I want you to, if you all are fighting for what you have right now, then that would be a sign that things weren't going well too. This is about adding to it, but being realistic about how we need to shift. But again, we've got to do it the right way. So thank you for being here, and encourage you to continue to reach out to your Board of Education member. I know she's listening. We all talk about it. I think just these meetings being added, sometimes people are traveling for work and other things too. So I'm glad Ken was there. I will definitely listen in as well and know I'm paying close attention to, because we all care about all students throughout the district. We serve them all. Thank you, Liz. All right, we're at 11:03. Have we gotten through, I think, all new questions? And I want to encourage people, you can reach out to me.
We got one new question.
No, one new question? Okay, cool. I can't see all of them. Let's do it. And then we're going to stop right at 11:05. And if I don't get a chance to say it, my information's in the chat. Please reach out, folks. It includes my cell phone. You can text me, call me anytime.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Hi,
okay,
Eugenia.
I'm from Massachusetts initially. I will try to speak very fast. Hi, everyone. This is a little bit of campaigning because you know I'm running, but these are my true thoughts. A lot of them are preliminarily put together as this campaign trail is a lot about discovery. I'll say that. One thing I suggested to someone today, or actually yesterday, was for us to have a special needs person that deals with that population solely on the board. Have we ever thought about that? And are there numbers on how many students we actually serve in the special needs community? So I think that's got to be uncovered. I think all of these proposals are great, but none of them seem to fit the right way. So I think it's back to the drawing board. I'm like you, Katie. I was after M2M, but I've been in APS for a very long time. I'm a product of APS. Magnet didn't work. Cluster doesn't seem to be working. I don't know about Zone. What about partner schools? Like if you partnered a strong school and a school that needed more support, even if they were on opposite ends of town, that might be a better sell than all of these other sort of ideas that aren't landing well. And I'll end with, I am just wondering where the pressure on certain communities is coming from. Is it part of equity? Because we have some areas where schools work really well. And I'm wondering if this mass change is more about, okay, we know we have to close schools here, so let's go ahead and change things over here. And I don't know if that's the best answer and the best place for us to put our effort. So I'll end there and I'll also email you.
Please do email me. And I'll just say quickly, we absolutely have numbers on our exceptional children. We're very focused on that work. There's a lot of opportunity in that area, and Dr. Johnson's already made a whole lot of changes, but we've got to give him the support he needs and continue to look at how we restructure based on personnel and training and professional development, and then also as a huge part of this facilities master planning process. I I think there's a lot of success in the cluster model. I don't think it's broken. I think we just need to create balance within and really support programming for all of our schools that's sustainable. So we have work to do in that area. But I hear you on the magnet programs and things. I mean, there were things that worked really well and there's things that did not. And a lot of it goes back to structure and not adjusting quickly enough in the right way when there are population shifts. So that is the purpose of this, to make sure we're realistic about what's happening. But we also provide ourselves room to be nimble. And there's been some nimble activity on the north side, and how we're nimble again in the right way is important, because we want to grow and we will grow, but we've got to make sure we're foundationally very strong everywhere, and that we're showing people what they have to look forward to as they move through the system onto 12th grade or through high school. So thank you for bringing up all of those points and issues. I encourage everyone to go to the meetings virtually next week, in person if you can. Keep the questions coming. You can always put into Let's Talk, find it on the website. Ask any question of the consultant. If you don't hear back, you can let me know. Or any question of the district. If you ask through Let's Talk and don't hear back, let me know. I appreciate everyone's time today. Sorry we went over. I know everyone's very busy. Feel free to reach out to me with any additional questions. Keith, anyone on this call, we're here to serve you all. And most importantly, students. Thank you all again. Happy Friday. And I will see you out in the community soon. And I have another meeting in October. And I think Ken and I are going to hopefully join up hopefully soon, maybe for one in November. But trying to maximize our time and you all's. Thank you all again, and have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.